right, you're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. We're going to connect with John Tobacco and Carol Christ in just a moment. But let me tell you what's happening in the news. In the meantime, Chicago is making quite a bit of news. The city of Chicago, that is. The mayor there has fired the police superintendent after he was caught sleeping in his car. Now, I am very suspect about this. I think there might be some other reason that the superintendent was fired, but sure enough, Mayor Lori Lightfoot says Superintendent Eddie Johnson was sleeping in his car after they found this in an investigation. This is a frightening decision because I'm asleep every moment that I can get at work. I was asleep during the last segment when I wasn't that interested in what John was saying. I nodded off for a bit there. And if he can be fired for his job, for sleeping on the job, what hope do the rest of us have? All right. Today is Cyber Monday. Now, millions of shoppers are heading online. I was trying to do some shopping online before, looking to snag the best Cyber Monday deals. Now, again, I'm very, very short in terms of the amount of Liquid Lunch money that I should be paid. So until I get some more money coming in, I'm not embarking on any of these Cyber Monday deals. But if you're one of these people that's doing some shopping when you return to work today, more power to you. And the Christmas theme has been unveiled at the White House. This year's Christmas theme at the White House is the Spirit of America. First Lady Melania Trump designed the theme, calling it a tribute to the nation's traditions, customs, and history. The decorations at the White House feature 22 evergreens and a variety of other examples of greenery. There's also a gingerbread house display from the White House pastry team that was constructed with, listen to this, 200 pounds of gingerbread dough, 125 pounds of pastelage dough, and 35 pounds of chocolate, and of course, 25 pounds of icing. How'd you like to be the lucky person that eats that gingerbread house? I mean, it's like going to Willy Wonka's factory, if only Willy Wonka was more focused on the gingerbread business. Now, I know a lot of you guys who watch the show are sort of financially oriented. Let me tell you what's happening on the world economic stage, because the president has decided to reinstate tariffs on Brazil and China. These are the latest tariff targets of President Trump. We've been chronicling the trade war with China. Now, Brazil and Argentina are going to be the recipients of some tariffs. He announced this on Twitter this morning, that he's restoring the tariffs on steel and aluminum being shipped to the United States from those countries. He said that the two South American nations have been engaged in a massive devaluation of their currencies. The president said that's not good for American farmers. He also suggested that the Federal Reserve should lower interest rates to weaken the U.S. dollar, giving farmers and manufacturers a more competitive edge. I mean, I have been very critical of this low interest rate policy. Interest rates were already at a near historical low, and we've ticked them down a few times already over the course of the last year or so. You know, at some point, interest has to matter. There used to be a time when, I know you have to go to a museum to see something like this, but there used to be something called a savings account, where you could actually make money on the money that you'd put in the bank. Now, forget about it. I used to know a lot of, even some baby boomers, but baby boomers and folks that are a little older than that, there was a time when they'd be able to live off their savings account interest. Now, try and do that. You're lucky if you're getting 1%. So the savers in this country are being killed by this low interest rate policy. And every time you have this low interest rate policy or a zero interest rate policy, all you're doing is encouraging people to borrow more money. And whether it's the federal government or whether it's those of us who are consumers who have a lot of credit card debt, the last thing we need right now is more incentives to borrow. I think we need to turn that around and go more towards savings. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for these steel and aluminum tariffs. I've been very critical of a lot of these reckless free trade deals that we've embarked upon in over the course of the last 30 years. And if we can give American steel industry a little bit of an edge, a little bit of protectionism, I'm all for it. All for it, always have been. All right, when we come back, we may or may not be joined by John Tobacco, but if he's not here, then I'll have some unique insight into something very interesting. We'll talk with John Tobacco and Carol Christ next. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm Frank Morano.